Hi green lovers, it's Tara and today is July 17th, 2020. Today I'm going to be attempting to make the smallest worm tower that I have ever made, and for that I have got a 32 ounce or 2 pound plastic yogurt container that I've made plenty of holes in, all along the sides, at the bottom, on the top. And to this, I'm going to be adding some kitchen scraps. So I've got a variety of kitchen scraps, apple cores, fennel stems, coffee grinds, etc. You name it, I've got it in there. And I have also got a little bit of soil that I'm going to be topping it with. So I'm going to actually fill this container all the way to the top. Then I'm going to put some soil to top it off, and I'm going to bury it near one of my plants that I know is a hungry plant and needs constant fertilizer. And my hope is that in a couple of weeks I'm going to be checking in this container and there's going to be a ton of worms. So I'm going to be putting in a place where I know for sure there are no worms, and I'm going to try to entice the worms to come and enjoy all this food. Oh, look at that. A fly has already arrived and started to help with the decomposition process, I suppose. All right, so I'm going to do this and I will take you along with me to bury it in my backyard. Okay, so I've got it nice and full. I jam-packed it with a lot of scraps, and then I just sprinkle some leaves on the top, and this is the final topping that I'm going to add is a layer of, it's actually potting soil, which is heavy in peat moss. And that's it. I'm going to cover it with this lid that's full of holes. I'm going to bury it all the way in the soil, in the clay, I should say, or the clayey soil that I've got in my backyard, and I'm going to water it in really nicely. And my hope is that each time I water, some of the water will go and keep the insides nice and moist, and the worms are going to not be able to help themselves. They're just going to come rushing into and start filling up this container and chomping through the deliciousness that I've got in there. So let's see whether that happens. I'm going to come back in 2 weeks, so that will be approximately sometime in the first week of August. Let's just say August 4th, because that's my mother's birthday, and then we'll check on the progress. I made sure that there are absolutely no worms in sight. In fact, I've got clay soil right there. So I'm going to be burying this in this hole. I'm not going to be burying the top because I do want to be able to access all these holes that I've made in the top, so I can make sure that water gets in. So I'm just going to kind of bury it almost all the way through, and right next to it is a hungry little watermelon plant that I'm hoping will get fed as the worms come in and as the material inside decomposes. So all that worm tea is going to start flowing to the roots, and this watermelon is going to explode in growth, right? Anyway, we'll check back again on August 4th. Hi green lovers, today is August 4th and today is the day we are going to check on the progress of the Littlest Worm Tower. Now, I have not done anything to this worm tower other than keep it nice and watered, and every few days, every 3 days or so, I realized that I needed to come and add a little bit more food or leaves or something to the top because the level was dropping rapidly. But are there earthworms? Let's check. So first I'm going to remove it from the soil here and check right under to see if there are any earthworms. Yep. Oh. There, you see it? Earthworms like to hide underneath these plastic containers, so this is a nice way to trap them. And that's a red wriggler right there. Now let's check the box to see whether there are earthworms in here. There are a lot of earthworms in here. So this method does work. I'm gonna move the soil apart. You can see, they are actively decomposing all the material that I've put in here. And there's all kinds of other life as well. There's ants, there's roly-polies. Yes, this thing is full of soil life. And the worm tea that is coming out of this is leaching into the soil around it and attracting more soil life and encouraging the plant, which is the watermelon right here, to grow. Now, has it grown very much? Not terribly, but then again, remember that the tower has been in place only for a couple of weeks. And another thing that I did is I put a lid on top of it. So it's not like I had a lot of water going in through this lid. There was a lot of moisture inside. There was moisture around that was being absorbed into it, but I wasn't putting too much inside. But what I'm going to be doing going forward is I'm going to actually be putting these in the ground and without a lid, so that when I water the plants, the water will go into this and it will flow into the plant. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. I'm going to confess, I actually came into the garden 4 days after I put this into the soil, this little worm tower into the soil, and there were earthworms already, and this place was dry. Before that, there was no sign of life at all, and there were tons of roly-polies and plenty of earthworms. So yeah, they've all gone into hiding. They are very camera shy, these earthworms. Now, because this was so successful, I went ahead and put a similar structure all over the garden. Another thing that you can do is when this thing is decomposed, this is like a little container full of garden gold, so you can take it and you can put it as fertilizer when you're putting a new plant into the soil in any part of your garden. So it's a portable worm tower. It's full of fertilizer, ready to go at any time that you need it. So yes, experiment successful.